let me congratulate you on successfully completing the mid-career training program. Let me also commend the National Institute of Management for conducting this course. From the contents of the program that Chief Instructor shared with us, and you have of course lived through this program, and for me this was a useful introduction, because in our time this tier of training was not there, because this, I believe, is for promotion from BS 18 to 19. So in our time it was NEPA, and the training was mandatory for promotion from BS 19 to 20. So this, I think, this tier of training was introduced when the training institutes were restructured. I think this is a useful addition to the training architecture, if I may say so, because by now you have put in 10 to 12 years of service, because you must be at the fag end of your career in BS 18, and having spent 10, 12 years in service, I think this is an appropriate stage to refresh your knowledge and to upgrade your skills. And also, apart from the lectures and exercises that you go through, this training program provides you an opportunity to interact with each other, coming from different professional backgrounds as you come from. And one additional advantage that I see for selecting Islamabad Institute as a place of training is that in Islamabad you have a wider representation of government agencies and departments. So I can see not only the professional groups in the Central Superior Services examination, but also from ministerial cadres that you have been able to interact with each other. So I think this peer interaction is a very useful opportunity to exchange ideas, to share experiences, and also to make friendships. That is also an important aspect of a civil service career, or for that matter in any service career. The esprit d'arpor, as they call it, is very important. And as you advance in your careers, these relationships, these association helps you in greater coordination as you hold various positions in government. And also, I'm very happy to see that there is now a fair degree of gender balance in the civil services. In our time, I remember I belonged to the 7th Common Training Program, which was 1980 batch. We had very few, I think, not more than 10 lady officers. And now, mashallah, you can see it's around 35–40% maybe. My arithmetic is right. But we have, this is, I think, a positive change that has taken place with greater participation of women in the civil services as we go forward. Let me take this opportunity to share with you some of my random thoughts on the subject of governance, and this, by the way, is one of my favorite topics. I have written on this, and I keep thinking about it, and as a civil servant, having spent around 36, 37 years in various positions in civil service, I keep reflecting, and I have also been witness to many changes which have taken place over the years. Not only structural changes in the way the government is organized, but also the mindset, the attitudes, the ethos of the civil service. We are living, as you know, in a world of fast-moving change. Technological progress, particularly in the field of information and communication technology, and changes in the way the world is organized with greater globalization and economic integration, making way for freer movement of goods, services, ideas, technology. We are now living in a world which is different, and the pace of change and the quality of change. The pace of change is greater. And now with the initiatives in artificial intelligence and so on, we'll see greater changes in the way human society and bureaucracies as an element in that are organized. Now this changed world and this changing world, every day there are changes taking place, has positive as well as negative implications, if I may use. I wanted to avoid the word negative. Let me say that this phenomenon presents challenges and opportunities. I think that would be a better way to describe it. On the opportunities, greater cooperation among the nation states, among the countries of the world, with capital flows moving across national boundaries, and so on. There are opportunities for societies, for countries which are deficient in capital, and they want to draw on the capital of countries which are surplus in that. And also the opportunities to follow best practices in various fields, because different countries have excelled in different areas. And technological advancement is the name of the game. The kind of global economy which you have read about, the colonial pattern, where raw materials were, taken from the erstwhile colonies, and then, industrialization, the developed world was at an advanced stage of industrialization. That paradigm has changed, and with greater global competition, particularly economic competition, because we have trade agreements, WTO, etc. We have climate-related agreements on the environment. We have investment protocols, multilateral as well as regional and bilateral. And we interact with multilateral institutions, not only for development finance, but also, as you are aware, with the IMF, the international watchdog of the global financial system, etc. Now, this interaction as a national player in that changed financial and economic architecture of the world. This puts a greater demand or pressure on member countries, on member states, on nation states to improve their governance. Because countries which adopt best practice in the way they govern themselves would enable them to benefit from the opportunities. And countries which have weaker governance systems, they would lose out in this highly competitive international arena. And with that backdrop, civil services, bureaucracies have a great role to play. Because civil services, the 𝐈𝐬𝐥𝐚𝐻 called them the backbone of the state. And I was very happy that the chief instructor referred to the vision of the 𝐈𝐬𝐥𝐚𝐻, the founder of Pakistan. I myself have gone through 3 of his very important speeches that he delivered to civil servants in the early part of 1948, when Pakistan had emerged on the map of the world, and the 𝐈𝐬𝐥𝐚, despite his commitments in shoring up the new state, there were many challenges at that time, as you know, took opportunity to address civil servants. One is his famous speech in Peshawar, the other is in Chittagong, now Bangladesh, East Pakistan at that time, and one in Sibi in Quetta. So he went to AP, he went to East Pakistan at that time, and then Balochistan, the choice of the regions. And he spoke to the, I would not burden you with, you must have gone through these speeches, but I would strongly recommend that these are small 2-page, 1.5-page speeches, not very long, because 𝐈𝐬𝐥𝐚 was very succinct in his speeches and statements. And I would strongly recommend to you to go through those speeches again and again, because there is a deep meaning in what the 𝐈𝐬𝐥𝐚 said to civil servants. And believe you me, what he said in 1948 is still relevant today. He set forth axiomatic principles of good governance and the role of the bureaucracies. In fact, the relevance of what he said in 1948, because our state, our country had not gone through the disruptions and changes, political, constitutional, you are aware of the checkered history that we have in our various phases. They have become more relevant. He addressed the question of politicization of civil services. At that time, it was a new country, and the contours of the relationship between bureaucracy and the political level of government had not fully emerged, but he could see the challenges coming ahead. And also he emphasized the values of integrity, transparency, commitment to the state, and the temptation to abstain from aligning with this or that political party. And he also emphasized that civil services should feel secure. This element of security has eroded over the years, unfortunately, because the constitutional guarantees which were part of the 1956 Constitution and also the 1962 Constitution of the country were removed in the 1973 Constitution. But he did emphasize that when we talk about the accountability of the civil services, we should also provide them a secure, enabling environment in which they can perform their duties honestly, fearlessly, and without aligning themselves to any political party, because, as you said, politicians come and go. That's the nature of democratic dispensation everywhere in the world. But since we have a permanent civil service in this country, bureaucracies have to sort of, while they faithfully implement the policies of the government they serve, but within the confines of the rule of law, within the framework of regulations, and above all, the dictate of national interest should be uppermost in our minds. That in fact is the bottom line. And fearlessly was the word that 𝐈𝐬𝐥𝐚𝐻 used in one of his speeches. One of our senior colleagues used to say that if you refuse to do wrong, you may suffer, because there are political pressures and etc., etc. But if you do wrong, you shall suffer. So that is what fearlessly, fearless performance of duties means. And then, apart from the fear of being harmed, if you refuse to obey unlawful orders, there is also the temptation that some people think that if we align with this or that political party, that will be a vehicle of career advancement. That again is a wrong perception, because having lived through three and a half decades of public service in various positions in government, my observation from empirical experience, from my own experience, and from seeing the experience of other colleagues, peers, seniors, juniors, etc., etc. I think if you stick to principles, if you observe the high standards of public service, your career advances and you get what is your due. So I feel this aspect is important. Now, secondly, the capacity to discharge duties. In our time, you know, when we started service, our generation way back in 1980, the skill set required of civil servants was more on the regulatory side, magisterial duties, and then when we advanced, secretarial duties, policy making, etc. Now, with greater economic integration, the skill set we require in the bureaucracies is more on the economic side, more on the technical side. And I don't want to go into, at this stage, into the question of how the entrance examination should be designed and how the service structure should be reorganized. But given the current system, I think as you go through your careers, you should, taking stock of your academic background, some of you are economists, some of you are engineers, many of you are doctors, because we, at a stage, many medical doctors appeared in the examinations and they got selected. And they have done very well in the civil services. You should seek opportunities to specialize in various fields. Because when you get to supervisory levels of ministries and departments, then you not only deal with experts who are working in the ministry, but also you interact with international players, with specialist consultants, with representatives of multilateral organizations. And there's a lot of technical stuff, by the way. It's not easy, and you need to go through voluminous documents. And also you have to have the knowledge and the skill set to understand the implications. And while you decide on policies, on various policy options available to you, commenting on any proposal that comes to you, you should have the relevant skills. And while I understand the system of postings and transfers in the country, but if you have the mindset, then you can always, try to adopt a field at your stage in career now, because you have gone through the field assignments, etc. And you still have time to go through field assignments, but you should try to stick within a field and try to gain in-depth knowledge of an area of your choice, suiting your academic background, suiting your professional preference, suiting your inclination for a particular field. That is the second thing that I wanted to emphasize, because as I experience, I have in my career served in a multilateral institution also. I was executive director in the Asian Development Bank for 4 years. And that provided me an opportunity to interact with international staff in these, they are really top class and from all over the world. So even after spending, so many years, one feels that there are gaps in one's knowledge. And apart from learning on the job as you try to specialize in a field, also you should find time to do reading, at your leisure time on weekends, or depending on the nature of your duties, if you find time. There are days we used to go to libraries and bookshops to buy books. Now access to knowledge is very easy. You have the internet, and you can Google, anything that you want to read. So you should find time to do reading. That will give you knowledge, that will enable you to exercise your, to perform your duties more effectively. And so basically these are the two areas. One is your ethos, your value system as civil servants, and then your skill level that you should be attaining. So I thought, instead of going into the theory of governance and I should give you some advice based on my experience to improve to enhance your ability to perform your duties and to be useful member of the bureaucracy. And then also, as time passed, in our time, civil service was a preferred career, But now, young graduates, they prefer going into banking, into private sector because the remuneration level is better. There was a differential always, by the way, but this differential has now increased with the passage of time. But still I feel that civil service is a very enviable career to choose. It's an enviable path to tread, and you have opportunity to contribute to nation building, and that should be a great source of satisfaction. Because there are countries, I know, East Asian countries for instance, where the gap between private sector and public sector remuneration is less. That was part of the policy which they followed since the 1950s. And but this gap would always remain because private sector runs on profit. Government runs not for profit, but government has responsibilities, as you are very well aware. Another point which I should have mentioned earlier when I was discussing global integration, globalization and its implications for governments and bureaucracies within nation states, I forgot to mention, and I'll mention it very briefly now, which is that now these changes which have taken place, they have changed the way, they have brought changes in the role of the state, in the paradigm of the state. And I would recommend you to read a report that the World Bank issues a World Development Report. It's a yearly report. This was, I think, way back in 1999. I'm taking you too far back into history. They published a report, The Changing Role of the State. And I would advise you to go through that report. And that, throws light on now the changing changing role of the state. Mainly, states in the countries world over are now moving away from their role as provider of goods and services, and also the paradigm of centralized planning. And now the role of the state is more of an enabler, facilitator, and regulator, with private sector as playing the leading role in economic development. That's a change that has taken place the world over. And the sooner we have adjusted to this change, I have seen the changes taking place, but still it's a work in progress. So now as civil servants, you have to negotiate, you have to, as regulator, arbitrate with the private sector. And when I say that the role of the state has changed, I'm not saying that the state has to abdicate, because there are serious issues of market failure, especially in developing countries like Pakistan, where the rule of law is weak, relatively weak, and needs to be strengthened. And there is the problem of elite capture, vested interests in business, in other formal and informal sectors of the economy. They will put pressure on the way you perform your duties. But the role of the regulator, the state has to play. That role the state plays even in developed countries, where private sector is driving the economy. But to protect the consumer, to protect public interest, to avoid elite capture, the state and the bureaucracy has a great role to play. So that is one point that I wanted to mention. And finally, I will conclude with a metaphor that I often think about. We are sort of on a treadmill. The wheels are moving, and if we don't keep pace with change, and unless we adjust ourselves to new realities and the demands it puts on us as civil servants to perform our role, then we would fall down. If the treadmill is moving, if you try not to run with it and stand, then you fall down. So that's a metaphor that I wanted to use. And let me conclude with the 𝐊𝐈𝐻𝐿𝐵𝐻, an excerpt from 𝐊𝐻𝐝's speech, which he delivered to civil servants in Sibi on 21st February 1948. And I have to read it. Quote, "I can assure you that there's nothing greater in this world than your own conscience, and when you appear before your God, you can say that you did your duty with the highest sense of integrity, honesty, and with loyalty and faithfulness. This is the spirit I want you to develop, and I'm sure that you will develop this spirit and work in accordance with it." So let's resolve today, as you are on an important threshold of your careers, to make 𝐊𝐼's vision our guiding principles. If we think constructively and work cooperatively, we will inshallah make Pakistan great, strong, and invincible. Pakistan Zindabad, and congratulations once again.